Welcome to No Such Thing as Normal podcast with Natalie Hayes and Jess McKeown.
This is a casual podcast where we talk about all of the things you're not supposed to talk about in order to help you normalize your real life, because really we're all just a bunch of weirdos having a completely human experience in a society that asks us to pretend like we're not.
And I'm your host, Jess, a gifted spirit baby medium who facilitates deep soul healing by channeling divine messages.
I'm your other host, Natalie, an intuitive mentor and transformative healer.
Be sure to subscribe where you listen to podcasts. Watch our 100% unedited episodes on YouTube. And you can also follow us on Instagram at McJaguar and at Intuitively Natalie for more weirdo and woo-woo content.
And if you like this episode, please rate and review and share it on social media so that other people can unleash their weird with you.
Yay!
Yay! Okay,
we like our family of weirdos.
I love our family of weirdos. Okay, I'm really excited this week. This week is going to be so fun. Okay. Angel numbers.
This is it's like a light week. We've done some like shadow work and relationships and sex and all this kind of stuff. And this is like I feel like this is like baby psychics, baby intuitives, baby on your journey is angel numbers, right? Like that's like one of the first ththings that people start to see and be like, what? And it's usually like 1111, right? That's like the key master of like, welcome.
Yeah, make a wish. It's 1111, or like picking up pennies that are heads up, or feathers, or those are like all, I think, introductory signs.
Yeah, because, and, you know, I always think about this, like if we create our reality and we're starting to see these numbers or see these pennies or whatever, we are ready to explore, what the heck does this mean? Why am I seeing all these numbers? Like, let me Google.
Yes. Google is your friend in the beginning.
It so is. We need like a spiritual Google though, you know?
I agree. Oh, I should create that.
Yeah. Hello, all you techie babies, intuitives out there. Let's make us a spiritual Google, please.
Yeah.
What is your experience with angel numbers? Like them, love them, see them all the time?
I do actually. I see them quite a bit, especially when I'm with my best friends who are also like super intuitive. Like every time I'm with either of them, that like it's like every license plate has triple numbers, every phone number has triple, like they are everywhere. We're just inundated with these repeating numbers.
But like such confirmation that like these are good people to be around, and that your spiritual pathway and energies are very open and calling you with them, right? Yeah. I think I first started seeing 1111 and I was like, okay, Googled it, right? Spirit numbers, great. Okay. I didn't really know what that meant though. I was like, great, what do I do with that? And then I kind of heard, well, if you can remember, like, what were you thinking about? What were you doing at the time that like you saw that? Like you said, you're with your friends. So now I try to kind of like, I will literally have a thought and then I'll see in a number and I'll be like, oh, great, thank you. Mm-hmm. And I used to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1234, 123, you know, all this kind of stuff, all these different things. And that is like, keep going on your pathway, right? You know, when you look them up on Google, I had a friend that was like, they're all like the same. And they kind of are. You know, they're kind of like just a spiritual, like, yay. Yeah. Like you're on the right path and you're doing things. And, you know, we'll talk a little bit about numerology, but like, I saw that for so long. And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I get it. I'm following the pathway. I'm doing the things. And as soon as I kind of learned all the lessons related to like the next step and doing things like in kind of an order, I got new numbers. And I was working with 414, 1014, you know, lots of ones and lots of 4. 4 is like very earthy, very grounded, you know, so with 1 being a spirit number, it was like, get grounded in your spirituality, girl. Mm-hmm. You are an earth being. You got to figure this out. So now I've just completed that, and it kind of goes away for a while. Like I get them in a flurry and then they kind of die away, and then I get them in a flurry. And now what I kind of feel like, I'm pulling like a slot machine. Like my next numbers are coming because I'm getting like 333, 777, 444, 111, 222 everywhere. I'll look up, no joke. I was watching this reality show that we just talked about, and I'll look up, you know, and they're in the kitchen. What does the kitchen clock say? 444. Yeah. It's like, why did I decide to like look at the kitchen clock in the total background that's like blurry as all hell to see that? So there's just this kind of energy and this calling in that for me is fun. It's fun confirmation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's really what I view the numbers as too. It's just like, oh, you're in alignment. Oh, confirmation. Like, I don't know that I necessarily assign a specific meaning to
Mm.
any of them. It's just like when I see them, what is the feeling that I get from seeing it? Like, oh, I see
Yeah.
444. Oh, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm in alignment, or oh, I feel really protected, or oh, I'm supported. Like, I feel like they just come to you when you need them, and then they don't have like permanent meanings, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
it means whatever it means for you
in that moment. And you can just experience it. You can look it up and, have Google tell you what 444 means. You can look up the numerologies, right, of each of the numbers and the amplifications. Like, 11 is one amplified, right? So I think it's just all like, as you're kind of like walking down your pathway of life, it's like these little like signs. Be like, come explore, come play. There's more out here than you think and realize, and you're more connected than you realize. And that's why I think it's subtle and kind of like fun. But I also think like you can see numbers on the clock all the time, and it's a sign when it like affects you, when it's like, whoa, or like you're making that connection, or you've seen a bunch of them and you keep seeing them. It should feel different than just seeing a normal number, a regular number. Don't you find that like when you get a sign, there's like a real like it's a sign.
Yeah. You do know it's a knowing. And if you're like, find yourself questioning, like, is this a sign? That it probably is a sign because you're questioning it.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing. Like, that's why it's so important to like be like in check with like your intuition and know how you receive like your yeses and your nos, because even if you get a sign, you can confirm it. You can muscle test it. Is this a yes for me? Is this something that I need to know now? If you have any questions, right? It's like, that's what's so fun about this. I think everything's just fun for me. It's like just so fun to play with the universe.
I think it's supposed to be fun. Well, I mean, if you want it to be fun, it's all about your belief system, but I prefer for it to be fun.
Please prefer it to be fun. But I want to share a really cute thing about asking for a sign. So I went for a walk yesterday, and I had been working with clients and, was kind of in that whole spirit baby kind of energy, and was like, you know what? I want a sign for my spirit baby. And I immediately started looking at every address and looking at every sign. And I saw a sign that said no exit, and I'm like, what does that mean? And what I'll say, and my guides were like, you need to relax, you need to like ask for the sign and then let go. Right. So I could feel myself like asking for the sign and then looking. I mean, I could just feel I'm walking, I'm like looking, I'm like, is that the sign? Huh? That's not how it works. Right. You can't like be all like searching for it, right? The whole point of a sign is it's like, it's a sign that you didn't expect. Right. And so I turned the corner of my block and I was realizing that I was doing this. This is a half-hour walk. This is how much I transformed in half an hour. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, I need to let this go. I need to like accept this. I know the sign works when I just release. And so I'm walking, I'm like, hand on my heart. I'm just like, okay, universe, I release how it comes out. I just want to receive a sign from my spirit daughter. I trust and know that she's going to, give it to me. And that was the big thing. I had to really trust and let go that I was going to get it on this walk. Because there's always that fear that you're like, what if I don't get it? And what does that mean?
Right.
Da-da-da.
We'll talk about that.
I talked to myself. I was like, okay, it's okay. I can do this. I can do this. And I like let that go. Still kind of looking a little bit, but then drawing myself back into me, like just trust. And then I just got to this point where I was like, it's okay if I don't get a sign. It's okay whoever it wants to come. I still have like 2 more blocks left in this walk, right? Because then I was like, oh, and I just kind of like, I was like, okay, and so then I turn and I'm walking by this park, and this out of nowhere, this family comes on a bike, a dad, a little girl, and another little girl. And this little girl on the bike, it's raining, people aren't really like being that talkative. We're all just kind of trying to do our little walks. He stops, or like turn, and she looks right at me and she goes, hi. And I was just like, okay. And I felt this elation. And, kids say hi to me all the time, but like nobody else did, and I said hi to her back. And I just felt this feeling. I felt my spirit daughter, Eden. And I was like, thank you, Eden. And she's like, you're welcome. She's like, we just had to like wait for that moment. And so even when you ask for a sign too, you also need to trust in the divine timing of it and allow it to come. Because when I stopped, the elation that I felt from that little girl saying hi to me in that exact moment, right after I said, okay, I'm letting it all go, was just so joyful. And I just felt so connected to her. So I think that's the fun part about it, is being open to it, but also releasing like how it's going to look, because it's a sign.
Yeah.
you never know what it's going to look like. But it was just so sweet. And she was so cute. And I freaking love kids.
They're so
Like the
cute.
dad didn't say hi, she was a little sister, but this girl must have been like 3 years old. And they're just still in that joy of just like, hi.
They're so cute. Yeah.
So it just made me feel happy.
What a cute story. I love that. I love that they came through. I think another way, especially if you're somebody who's really working on their trust muscle with getting signs from their spirit guides or spirit babies, is to identify a sign you want to see, not just like leave it open-ended. So you're not like super questioning everything, but sometimes when I'm like making a decision, right? Like when I was about to quit nursing, I'd be like, okay, I want to see this before the end of my shift if I'm supposed to quit today. Like
and did you get the sign?
No, because I didn't like the day that I actually did put in my 2 weeks. I wasn't at work to receive a sign. So, but you can ask like, a lot of the times I'll ask to see like a purple heart, or that's actually come through quite a few times, like a weird purple heart. If like something is in alignment for me, I'll ask to see various things. A lot of people I feel like ask for elephants, or like animals, spirit animals. Like, okay, I'll see a blackbird or something if I'm supposed to do this, or if it's an alignment for me to do this. And I actually have found great results, especially when I don't get that sign. Because not receiving a sign is a sign.
That is actually a really good point and a really good like perspective on asking for signs, right? Like if you don't get a sign, then that's the answer. There's no sign around that, especially if it's like, should I do this? Is this the best way forward? And it's like, nope.
Yeah. If you don't see a sign, don't freak out. It's just no's are okay. Aligned no's are okay. And when you're like saying, oh, I want to see a pink flamingo as a sign or whatever, let it go. After you tell the universe, like, I want to see a pink flamingo, you just don't attach to how it's going to come through, where you're going to see it. Like, just trust that if you're meant to receive that sign, you will.
Yeah. And then like what I find funny, what they're showing me is like, then all of a sudden, like you look up and the car in front of you has like all these flamingo stickers on it.
Yeah.
And like, so the other thing too, is like, you might be like thinking like an actual flamingo or something to that degree, but it might be like, or like, I don't know what they're saying, but like, you meet somebody and they're like, hi, my name's Flamingo. Just weird things like that you're like, what? Or they have like a flamingo pen at the restaurant that they handed you to sign with and you're on a date and you're like, give me a sign, right? So it's kind of fun also to pick weird things like that, or uncommon things like flamingos or purple hearts, or whatever it is. And then but I still think too, because sometimes maybe a purple heart, gosh, you can see those on social media and everything. It's gonna again hit you in that like knowing. So that's the other thing too. It's like it's gonna feel different. You're gonna notice it.
Yeah, I don't know. Trust that you're gonna notice.
What if people have a hard time with that? How do we help them through that?
Well, just repeatedly ask your guides to show you a sign. I feel like it's really important to build that relationship with them. Like, oh, my guide is around because I saw a bird, I saw a squirrel, I saw whatever. Like, start asking your guides to show you little things that they're around or whatever. Like, I just want a sign to like confirm that I'm seeing signs. Give me that. Like, just ask for it and then detach from how it's going to come through or where it's going to come from, and trust. Like, you really do have to just build that trust muscle. Start small.
Yeah. And I would say like when I was on that walk, I was kind of coming to that place where I needed to release the outcome. I just talked to myself, I just said, okay, I trust the universe. I release this, like that works for me. And I'm sure there's other practices, but it is that active awareness too of releasing the outcome. And I don't know, like, how do you build trust? I mean, it is building that relationship, right? It is going out every day on a walk and asking for something specific. And just the more that you do it, the more that you become aware of it, the stronger the signs come in and the stronger you can get those and know them immediately. Like it's all just a relationship, right? It's all just a muscle building. I like that.
It's a muscle building. One of my favorite quotes is like, where focus goes, energy flows. So like, if you're actually not taking time to cultivate your connection to your intuition, you're connected to your guides, it will be probably a lot more difficult for you to identify signs because you're not focusing any energy on it otherwise.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's like you want the sign to like hit you over the head.
Sometimes it will.
Sometimes it will. But I think if you want that daily connection of getting like confirmation, ooh, my guys are saying some fun things about that. Be aware. They're also saying to those of you listening, if you ask too much for signs,
oh, then you're putting too much power in the sign and not in your own mind.
Mm-hmm. And they might stop or not show you to teach you that, right? Yep. So be aware that, like, also know when you're like overusing spirit is what spirit says, when you're kind of like going to practitioners, going to spirit, kind of asking for help, but maybe you're not integrating the work or doing the work yourself. Like, you know, they can give you signs all day, but if you're not actually reading the signs and listening to them and doing the work, it's kind of like this perpetual kind of cycle of just not wanting to actually do the work and just to receive signs from spirit that, you know, you're not alone. Or, you know, if you have challenging like times like interpreting the signs, you know, you keep asking for more, at some point you have to kind of take that ownership to be like, how am I going to interpret this? Right. Just like you're reading tarot cards or anything else, the signs, the tarot cards, everything that's coming for you is for you to interpret and for you to, you know, make an action or a plan forward versus just, I guess, waiting for the signs to change you or waiting for the signs to do the work for you.
Yeah, the signs will not do the work for you.
They won't.
Something I've been playing around with a lot. Like, I feel like I used to really overdo my muscle testing. Like, just put so much faith and so much trust in this muscle testing that it like knew better than I did. Or I would muscle test for literally everything. Like, oh, it's of my highest and best good to get out of bed right now. Okay, it's good. I should get out of bed. It's of my highest and best good to go to the bathroom. Yeah, I should go to the bathroom. Like, I used to just really overdo it. And then I think I tell this story in my course, Intuition Unblocked, but I like got pregnant one time, had a miscarriage, and then like every other time I was muscle testing, like, oh, I'm pregnant. Oh, I'm totally pregnant. We'll get blood work drawn, not pregnant.
What?
And I've like, my guides have been telling me like, it's no longer about receiving a sign for a should, like I should do this. This is something I should do. It's more, they're telling me, what do you want? Like, instead of asking for something that like somehow you're not in control of your own life, like something to happen to you, like a sign, instead say, no, I want this to happen. And then like watch the universe reconfigure to bring that to you.
Ooh, I love that. No more shoulds.
No more shoulds. Don't keep giving your power away to, oh, I should do this. Something should happen for me. No, what do you want?
And when people come to me with like, what should I do? Like, should I do this or should I do this? Or should I try this or should I try that? We can read both timelines, and both timelines have great things for you and lessons and challenges. But it's like, what do you want? And everybody's like, oh, I want the best. And I want the this and I want the that.
There is
if you choose the best, if you choose the whatever, like you're still going to experience things, you know. The best doesn't mean hardship free. The best doesn't mean challenge free. The best doesn't mean lesson free. But what I've been learning to say is, I would like to learn those lessons with ease. I would like to learn those things with joy. You know, like so many of us learn through those hard things, and we can really shift how we want to learn them by just shifting our intentions to be more joyful, more easeful.
Yeah, I think that's a good kind of a red flag when you're shooting all over yourself. Like, there is no right or wrong. There is no worse or better. There's only like aligned and unaligned, and there are infinite possibilities for that as well. So you really have to ask yourself, like, this is what I want. This is how I want to feel. Maybe not an outcome, or like I want like a big house with a big car and like expensive neighborhood. Like, maybe just say like, I want to feel financially secure. I want to feel free with my time and my money. Like those things, like say that is what you want, and then detach from how it comes through.
Yeah, because usually the big house, big car, whatever is like kind of ego, right? And we think that's going to make us happy. And we think that, well, if I have a big car and I have a big car, I guess you have a big car, you have a big house, but whatever. But it's like, maybe in order to get that with that kind of like intention setting, you have to like work a whole bunch and work 80 hours and, you know, you're stressed out, but you have your big house and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not happy though.
So it's not like, what I wanted.
Wait a minute, you know, outcome based versus like that internal base, right? And I think that's kind of helpful too, to just be like, to kind of know what it is that you want. And as a former recovering, what do I call myself, a recovering people pleaser, when I kind of cleared a lot of that stuff and I was like, okay, what do I want? And I was like, I had no fucking idea. You know what's really weird and a little scary, if I'm totally honest? I was like, I don't know what I want to eat. I don't know what I want to do. Blah, 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 blah. And I had to like get to know myself again before I could re-engage with my own life and what I wanted to do. So if you're there, I have a lot of empathy for you and hugs. And you'll figure it out.
You will. You really will figure it out.
You will. And I think also people are scared of like making bad or wrong choices. What do you think about that?
Oh, there is no such thing. There is no such thing. Good and bad,
Natalie.
right and wrong are conditioning. That is societal conditioning. You've been conditioned to believe that something is worse or better or bad or wrong or right. Like, no, that is no such thing. It's only aligned, unaligned. You're only ever going to experience things that are aligned for you. You just have to, I think you should. I hope that people take more of their power back as creators of their reality than victims of their subconscious conditioning.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, kind of getting a hold of that concept and the polarity and the right, wrong, and the black, white, like once we can move past that, you can have bad, and doing quotes here, experiences, realize how actually wonderful they were, how transformative they were, how great they were. They only seemed that way at the time because of our conditioning. But if we look back on so many things, like I look back on things and in that moment, it was the worst thing ever in my whole entire life. And now I'm like, oh, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And you hear people say that, right? But that's that hindsight, that 2020 perspective where you're like, oh, right. It was happening for me. I did need that change and I was resisting it for so long. So the universe is like, okay.
Yeah.
I'll help you.
They will. I think it's so important though to like foster a connection with your intuition so that it doesn't require a breakdown for you to have a breakthrough.
Oh my
it
God.
doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to hit rock bottom if you're like listening to the small nudges and quieter inclinations along the way. Otherwise you will come to a full stop.
Natalie and I hit rock bottom, and we're going to tell you, friends, we do not recommend, as you say, unsubscribe. And I think like I've been doing your course, Intuition Unblocked, and it's been really fun for me to like play around in this space. And I think that is like the joyfulness of like, hey, don't come to that level of despair. Like already just start to build from where you are and build that connection now. And I don't know, I just feel like we all want everybody to just be connected to their intuition, right? And be connected to their gifts. Like that's what I want. I want the world to be connected to those that they came in with.
I agree. I want that. I feel like everything will just go so much smoother. There'll be less judgment. Just a happier place.
Just a happier place, people. That's what we're here for. What do you feel like in your course? Does this in Intuition Unblocked, because I haven't got all the way through yet, because I'm self-pacing myself.
I love it.
What is there stuff in there that can really help with this? Trusting of your intuition and getting your signs and kind of understanding the angel numbers.
I think the whole course is geared to that trust muscle. It's like you have just so many options and ways to do that. Like each module kind of focuses on a different thing. I think module 2 is like muscle testing and spirit guides. Remind me, I think spirit guides is maybe module 2. 3. There we go. Jess just took it. It's been a while since I've been there.
Module 2 is like your clairs and learning that, and then module 3 is like really connecting with your spirit guides. And you guys, if you want to connect with your spirit guides, like this is a great way to do it.
It is.
I think so many people I talk to like want to know and want to have this relationship, and they want it to be like yours, Jess. I'm like, well, 1, it's not, because it's mine. And 2, you're going to have your own, which is going to be even better and more aligned for you.
Yeah. And I think like I set up the second module to get you in touch with your specific way that you receive messages and guidance. Like you are not going to have a question about how you receive guidance after that module and then move into meeting your spirit guide. You're just going to come from a more like grounded and confident place after you identify how you're receiving first. Like you have to really get comfortable with how you receive before you can trust that you're receiving.
It's so true. And it takes time. It takes this time. It takes this practice. It doesn't take a long time, but
No.
it's like, you can't just snap it. Can we? Can we, guys?
I mean, you could if you wanted to, but we're not conditioned to operate that way.
Yeah, let's go and block that and be like, I can download anything and do anything. But I also think it's fun to learn. It's fun to develop that relationship. I think it's okay to let things take the time that they need to take for you, right? It can be quick, it can be not quick. And if it's not quick and you're frustrated about that, like, let's look at that.
Yeah, look at that block, because you create your own blocks. Why are you blocking yourself?
Why are you frustrated? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's why I also included the subconscious, like unblocking and energetic shifting in the modules to really like help you overcome those common blocks, because I had those blocks and it made it a lot more difficult to connect to my intuition.
I love those. They're like little mini meditations. I just sit there and like quietly like listen and, just feel the shifts happening. So it's fun. And I'm grateful that you made this for people to just quickly move through, like to demystify that this is like a big, huge thing. And the thing is, like, this gets you started. And then from there, you can continue to grow and develop in your own ways. But it's just a nice place to be like, if you're like, where do I start? Or I want to know more about this, or I want to connect. It gives you that container to like practice and do the things. And like, you have the Facebook group, you can go in and read intuitively. Like, come on down.
Come on down. We'd love to have you. The last,
you're the next contestant.
The last, like when you join the VIP course, you automatically get invited to these like VIP practice sessions that I have, so that you can like practice using your gifts. And the last one that I had was this past weekend, was so fun because I taught everybody how to channel each other's spirit guides. It was wild. Like in the course, you get acquainted with your own, right? But then you're like, oh my gosh, am I really feeling this energy? So you get to like practice working with another person in a really safe and supportive environment. And like they channeled each other's spirit guides, like clearly. And like you get that like live confirmation from the other person, like, oh yeah, that resonates. Oh yeah, that's what I kind of got too. Like it was just so much fun. I love that.
Again, fun, right? Fun. It's so fun too. And I think what's fun about it is like, you just feel so much more connected to your life. You feel so much more supported. You feel like, you can do anything. It brings you back to that reminder that we are in control of things. When things feel so out of control, we want to be in that victim mentality, and hey, victim mentality can be comfortable. It's so nice to point those fingers, not take any responsibility. And that's what victimhood serves. My goodness, you are tired of taking all that responsibility for self, for others, for whatever, and you're just done. But like when you come back to that place of like, okay, I'm ready to take responsibility again. Like you said, your life can change in the most magnificent ways. And then you probably be getting a bunch of angel numbers as you make that decision.
You probably will.
Oh,
I want to talk a little bit about like, I feel like people get caught up like, am I imagining this? Am I creating this? Like, how can you tell what is like ego conscious created and what is received? Jess?
Okay. I thought you said I wanted to talk about something. I'm listening. I'm here.
Give me your take.
Yes, my take. Thank you. that was like a softball lob to me, and I like totally whiffed it. Ego for me feels kind of judgmental, kind of protective of sense of self. It feels a little bit ungrounded in the bigger collective. It feels a little me first and only me. So if I really tap into when I'm feeling ego stuff or what I want things to be versus how they are, it usually doesn't feel that great in my body, right? And I think doing a lot of work to understand how things feel has been helpful to know when I'm like, that doesn't feel right. When I know it's intuition, it's usually quieter, softer messages. My intuition isn't always very loud and glaring like my ego, but it feels so comforting. It feels right. It almost feels like I can't go against it, right? If I'm knowingly going against something that's aligned for me, that just feels like
not good,
weird, like why would somebody do that, right? Though I have done it. I've definitely like been like, thanks intuition. Nope, I know better. My ego just steps right over and then gets its ass kicked and handed to it later. But I like to learn that way. or I did. But I think like the intuition is like, how do I want to describe this? They're kind of they're kind of really pointing to my gut. It's like that second brain in your gut. It's like that knowing that like, this is what is right for me and it feels good. And here's the thing, you can follow your intuition and then quotes again, bad things can happen,
quote unquote,
quote unquote. But like, again, because you're perceiving them like, oh, I shouldn't have listened to my intuition because it led me here. If you keep going on that, you're going to see why it led you there. You're going to see why that unraveling or that relationship needs to end or whatever it is, right? But it just usually feels really good and really supportive.
Yeah.
I think because I have such a deep relationship with my ego and my intuition, I kind of know who's who.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're almost like personified for me, if you will. Like when my ego shows up, you know, I'm like, hey, girl.
That's ego. Yeah.
What's up? You know, and I also, as I look back on my life, because I like to do self-reflection a lot, when I look at decisions that I made out of ego and I look at the results or the consequences of that, I'm like, yeah, that was ego, you know? And I'm trying to think of a recent ego thing, but I can't right now. My ego won't let me. My ego was like, girl, don't be telling your secrets.
Call me out like that.
Don't call me out. My ego does not like that. But what about you? What do you think is that? How do you differentiate?
I can usually, like, I feel like now I've gotten to the place where I can tell when I'm creating a thought versus when I'm receiving a thought. Like I just have that discernment, but I think really initially starting out, I didn't question intuitive hits. It was just like, oh yeah, that's truth for me. Versus like, if I was like, oh, I don't know about this. Yeah, I think I'm going to do this. I use like, I think a lot more with ego thoughts than received intuitive stuff.
That's a great way too, to like listen to your language around thoughts and decisions, right? So there's like that language noticing, there's that feeling. Does it feel like a certain way for you? Like more so when you're making an ego decision versus an intuitive decision?
I think it's less stress. I think it feels less like a tumultuous decision or something when it just feels good when it's intuition.
Yeah. Have you ever overridden your intuition?
Probably. Nothing really comes to mind. Oh, they're like, you became a nurse.
And a 9-year-long learning.
9.5-year long lesson. Yeah, I did not listen to the discomfort that was coming from nursing school when I should have. But
it would have been more aligned for you.
Something else would have probably been more aligned for me, but no right or wrong decisions. I chose it for a reason and lessons were learned.
Yeah. And I think that's the whole part. It's like, well, what if Natalie had listened to her intuition way back then? And, like, where would I be now? That whole like, oh, coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? Yeah. But it's like you staying in for as long as you did and then making this decision, which you just did, to be, say goodbye to nursing. Like, it had to take that amount of time, right? You had to go through those experiences. I think a lot of it too, like you got to meet Jenna and do nursing stuff with her, and that, like maybe you wouldn't have met your partner had you done that. Like you don't really know. And so that's why we kind of say, like, don't judge so much and don't put so much on right or wrong, but just look at the experience overall. Yeah. I have definitely overridden my intuition. I shared with that in my mediumship circle, and they laughed, like, thank you for being honest. And I was like, oh, I wasn't trying to be funny. Yeah. I was just really trying to be honest. And why do I do that? Like, that's kind of what I was asking, is like, why, when I get an intuitive hit or a knowing, do I like override it? My ego overrides it. My ego's like, nah, let's not do that.
I know better.
It's not doing better. And so that's kind of where I kind of know where it's like, okay, my ego wants to keep us safe or keep me small or keep me in check or whatever. And so sometimes I do that. But I also have been just kind of playing around with it in the intuitive space and feeling like, what happens if I override it? Does it come on the next time stronger? Like I do kind of, I want to pay attention to like the levels, because like there are flags and there are signs far before you get to that really big explosion.
There are.
And like you said, missing those intuitive hits or not listening to them, can sometimes lead us down a pathway. But, I always feel like we will always come back to our alignment. And that what spirit has shows me is like, there's a magneticism in us that kind of brings us back to our alignment of self and our pathway.
Yeah.
You won't get lost.
You will not ever trust me. You may come to a full stop, but you will not get lost.
Yeah. And I guess my guys are like, oh, you want to talk? I'm like, all right. They're like hyped up about intuition. They're like, you guys, when you really like, when you have like, they're kind of saying like a tight pact. I love them. Ooh. With your intuition, and you're like in like they're like part of your like cohort. They're part of like your co-conspirators in this world. Like, it's so amazing what you can do when you have that tool like ready to use. And you're not using it all the time 24/7, but when you listen to it and you allow it to come into your life, like, it just saves you so much time, energy, and effort, like it's helpful.
There's just so much less fear.
Yeah.
When you're like intuitively tapped in and connected, like there's just so much less fear. I think a lot of medical issues and anxiety and stress, it all comes from a lot of subconscious fear, like a lot of conditioned fear.
What if people are feeling that fear and they want to listen to their intuition? What should I do with that?
Come work with me.
Hit up Natalie and be like, yo, Natalie.
But really, honestly, you just have to step up and do the work. Like, notice like, oh, I'm feeling fearful and want it to be different. And then like seek out practitioners or ways to help you do that.
Yeah. And like for me, my journey coming into my spiritual pathway started with yoga. And I just see how much that taught me in terms of like being able to be a witness and to observe things and to be aware of things. And I've been doing yoga since 2001. What are we in now? 20 years of doing yoga. That's a long ass time of doing yoga. And it's a journey. I mean, it's an unfolding. It's a taking things and adding to the mix, right? We're not going to be done with everything. We're not going to be finished and complete with things. Like, it's not about that. I feel like it's about how are we in the moment? How are we responding to the moment? And what energies can we call in to help support us? And our intuition is so good for that.
Yeah. By like connecting to your intuition, you're really healing your relationship with yourself.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. I just did a channeling today for this group that I channeled for. And it was all about relationships. This month is about relationships. And Spirit had me pull cards for relationship with self, intimate relationships, friends and family, and the collective. And the relationship for self, they were like, that's the most important relationship. Number one, all your other relationships are reflections of the relationship with yourself. Boom. Don't like that relationship? Look at yourself.
Look at that with yourself.
Yeah. And it was really cool as I channeled for each different person to hear about these different things. I mean, we talked about like, I have this difficult relationship with my young son, and I was like, he feels like he's not being seen and expressed, and I have this challenging relationship with my partner. You're not allowing yourself to be seen and expressed. Like, the similarities in the channels were just so amazing, but it's like, it's so true that like getting to know yourself is like the utmost.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah. What do you do to like develop a relationship with yourself?
I do say okay.
I feel like you're gonna have like, I have Natalie days where
oh no. I just have really learned to listen to the intuitive hits that I get and take action on them. And like, ultimately I'm at this point in my life where I'm only going to do what feels good to me. If this life is going to end tomorrow, I want to know that I have done only the things that feel good to me. And I think my career in nursing really, it's a perspective shift.
How are you so resolved in that? You're so resolved in that. You're just like,
I don't really know. I don't know how. Jess, how am I so resolved?
Like, I just love your energy so much. I'm like, how does she do that? It's like people who are like, like, watch me not care, and it's just like, how do you do that? Right. And I guess what I feel when you're with your energy is like, you have a commitment to yourself. You have a commitment to your happiness above all else, like, that is up to you. And so you take that responsibility.
And it never feels good to sacrifice it. It never works out.
So true. Sorry,
Never.
folks, never.
Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry though. Right? Like how many times have you sacrificed yourself and just been like, well, that sucked.
That sucked a lot. Yeah, I'm never doing that again.
I was like, where's my award for sacrificing myself?
Oh my God, don't even talk like martyr, being a martyr. That's such a nurse thing.
Oh my God. Yeah. Definitely have some martyr work to release. I think for me, I'm more playful, right? So I'll do like intuitive walks or, intuitive eating stuff or like, what do I want to do today? And I won't have any plans or any agenda. And I will just kind of go with the flow and let my intuition guide me. I love doing that. Like, which way should we go? And I think sometimes, often we kind of connect to our intuition where we're like, you guys help me. But if you connect to it and like playful, like when you have like no like immediate needed outcome or answer, it's just fun. And then I feel like that's a fun way to like develop that muscle. So that when you do need them for like crisis situations, you know it and you trust it because you've also just done playful things. And I don't know, it's just, I think the work, even if you're like, okay, I'm going to intuitively choose a card or I'm going to intuitively choose a marker to color with. Like when you create that quiet space, you do some work, you do some breathing, you choose the color red, whatever you start to color, then like, what's the color therapy behind color red, right? What chakra does it relate to? I mean, there's so many messages just in what color you choose to color with.
Or
right.
Where.
So just being open to like all the signs that even come once you make that intuitive choice, right? Ooh, my guides are really into this today.
You're so into it. Nothing is
they
a
like want to
coincidence.
step in and like talk through me. I'm like, you guys know, not today. They're like, come on, Jess. You want to take over this podcast. Get your own podcast, guys.
Get your own podcast. Yeah.
Oh my God, the next podcast is going to be like our guides totally channel through us.
Yeah, just guides. No human input.
They're gonna be like, whew, finally.
Well, I mean, essentially that's what we're going to be doing on the live Q&A.
Yeah. I'm so excited for that. When are we going to do that?
Let's see, we're recording this the week before Thanksgiving. We're taking a week off the week of Thanksgiving. So this will come out the Monday after. And I think that means sometime next week when this airs, or actually maybe this week. Yeah, the first week of December. I feel like we should set that up. Jess, look for an email. If you're on our email list, we'll announce it there. We'll also announce it on Instagram when we get our shit together. Get it planned out. But the Q&A episode is technically the one supposed to come out after this.
Technically, but since we're the bosses of things,
who knows?
I think that's my favorite thing about being an intuitive entrepreneur is like I change with the winds. I follow things that no longer serve me. And I think that's another great thing with intuition is like sometimes we can kind of like use our intuition, get into a groove, and then think that like once we found a groove, we have to stay there. And I feel like my intuition will often come in and be like, time to change, time to grow. And I'm like, no, not yet. I'm funky. No, come on, let's go. And that will get louder and louder and louder. And like I find too that then other people will start to reflect those messages back to me and all that kind of stuff comes in. So it's almost to a point sometimes where you can't not hear it. I guess you could not hear it.
I mean, yeah, but it would be a lot more difficult to ignore it.
Yeah, please don't ignore your intuition. I've tried it and
it doesn't work. Take it from me. It doesn't work.
Take it from me. Okay, so we're gonna do a live call and we're gonna channel our guides and we're gonna free forum. What do you guys want to know? What weird woo stuff? Aliens?
Oh, yes, Jess, I have a question. I wonder if I should save it for the live Q&A.
Oh. About aliens?
Sort of.
Okay, I want to hear it. I can't wait.
Okay, I have a theory.
Okay.
I think space is water.
What do you mean?
I think space is made up of water.
Okay,
so
like outer space?
Yes.
Or all? Okay, yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure space is water. Like pretty confident. You can't breathe up there.
Okay.
Makes sense. I don't know. It just like came through one day. Jenna and I were at lunch, my wife, and we were talking about something like they found a big hole in the ocean by Antarctica or something, like a big deep blue hole that they like don't know what's on the other side or whatever, but they can't see a bottom. I think it's by Antarctica. And I was like, Jenna, what's in that hole? And she was like, space. And it just like, you know, when you hear things and you're like,
yeah,
I think that makes sense. Like, I can't really like quantify it, but I feel like it makes sense.
My guides say she's not wrong.
I'm not wrong.
Yeah. But it is kind of like, I guess what they're kind of making me feel like is like the elements of water, the characteristics of water, the transformativeness of water. And then my guides go, what is water? And I'm like, it's H2O. And they're like, okay. But that is, oh, this is what they're saying to me. They're saying that is one combination to make water.
Oh,
there are other combinations of molecules to make water.
Oh my God. See, guys, this is why you need to be intuitively connected. You can find out answers.
They're like, do you guys think that only the elements fit on that chart? No. Haven't things been added to that chart as they've been discovered? Yes. Will more things be discovered about different elements and what it's like and the properties of? Yes. That's what they say. Oh, so it's got elements of binding molecules that can make water or water-like forms. They're also kind of saying like that's what helps us like propel and move. Oh my
God, it's water. Oh,
yeah.
I can't even believe it. I can believe it.
So there you go.
I love that.
That's a little taste.
That's a little taste of a live Q&A.
And like, wait, am I just making that up, Natalie?
No.
How do you know that I'm not making that up?
Well, I don't, but it resonates with me.
I would say that's how you know, right?
I don't know.
If it like, you might not know up here if it's true or not. A lot of times my guides are like, doesn't matter. And I'm like, oftentimes I answer, well, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But what if it resonates with you and that makes you feel like, I think what the resonance is that maybe what we think of our world and our structure is maybe not always true. And that it's okay to question or to think about what else could be out there and how could there be other ways of this world being constructed, and to not just take everything that you're fed. Ooh.
Correct. I feel like we are going through a massive breakdown about that truth with humanity.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Like sometimes when I wake up and it's like crisis mode and I'm like, oh my God, I want to die. I also then do like, oh my God, I want to see this shit play out.
I need to see how this ends.
I want to see these things fall down. I want to see the structures burn, because I'm excited for what's coming after that. Right? Like I'm here for the popcorn eating, like, oh girl, but I'm also more excited for these spirit babies that are coming in and what they're going to build from this rubble. Right? But we need to rubble it. We need to demolish it.
Yes.
I think the thing about intuition, and again, I think I've talked about this before because it reminds me a lot of like the shamanism work, but like it is a big amount of trust that if you are asking the question, if you are going into the space, into the ether, into the space to download or collect things, then you have to also trust what you receive, right? Like if you're going to trust enough to ask, you have to trust enough to receive.
Yes.
So you're not making it up. And what I would say is if it feels like imagination, it's because spirit uses those elements a lot to communicate with us, right? Like the more that you ingest, the more that you work with your imagination, the more that you do vision work, the more that you imagine your spiritual numbers, what does a one look like to you, all that kind of stuff, the more colorful, vibrant, communicative it will be. It's like they are muscles. You have to work them in order for you to receive in that way. Like the more that you do it, the more that you'll receive it, I guess.
Yeah. Go to the intuitive gym every day, flex your muscles, pick up heavier weights.
And Natalie's like what are they called? Those coaches that you hire?
Coaches?
Trainer. That's what I was thinking of, a trainer. Like she's your trainer. She's like coaches. What are those coaches called that coach you?
Yeah.
The trainers. Like she's like a gym, or like Intuition Unblocked is like workout class.
It is for your intuition.
Once a week. And you can put on like cute headbands and leg warmers. And here's the thing, all this like 90s stuff is popular again. I lived through the 90s, you guys. It was not that cool, but you guys are making it so cool. So thank you.
Thank you. Gen Z loves it.
Put on your cute workout outfits and go work out at the intuitive gym. Oh my God, I love that. Like just as you make an appointment to like go to the gym and do your workout class, make an intuitive gym appointment.
Absolutely. Sit down with your cards for 10 minutes a day. Like you have to, if you don't use it, you lose it, but I don't think you ever lose it.
But maybe you can't hear it as often or as well. Maybe you become it's like further away, it's like, hello.
Yeah,
Like
you're
very
not as easily and readily available, probably.
Yeah, because I find that like when I'm stressed or I have other things kind of going on in my ether, my intuition can be talking to me and I can't even hear it sometimes. I can't even
Yeah.
access it because I'm so in the space. So calming down, coming to that quiet space. I like to say that too. Like it's probably best to ask intuitive questions when you're in a calm space,
Mm,
right? Like whether you create that sacred space, whether you take a breath and ground yourself, don't have to like light a bunch of candles and bring your crystals in.
right.
Though you can,
But you
but
can.
it when you're in a high stress situation, like you might not get the best answers, is what I want to say. How do you feel about that?
I
That's
think that's
crazy,
true. There's just too
no?
much noise. Like you don't really
That's what it
have
is.
energetic space to receive.
Yeah, you might be hearing things, but then when you hear other things, you're like, that's when that doubt and that confusion comes, and that like, so getting that clarity, taking a little breath, even just like, I'd like to receive the answer clearly now.
Get in a space where you can. Get in a headspace where
Yeah,
you can.
yeah. Because I've always, I mean, when I started reading tarot, they're like, don't be all jacked up when you
Don't be all jacked
ask,
up.
when you
All Mountain Dew.
ask a question for tarot. And so, and I will. I'll sometimes be like, I won't like, I'll just be like, okay, tarot. And
Yeah.
then it is kind of, it feels more random. It feels like, what does this card mean? I don't know. Like be precise when you're asking your information and your intuition, like I feel like the more precise you are, the more precise your responses are. If you're kind of open, I think we talked about that. Like when you're like, what do I want to know today? Or like go to the cards with like that clear set of like what you want to do and kind of have some advice on that versus like what should I do, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
go to your intuition with like yes,
Direction.
no, yeah, clarity, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I teach you that in the course as well. It's a secret. It's my top secret way to get clear messages.
I'm not going to reveal it either, you guys,
Don't
because
reveal it. You have to
it's
take it.
so good.
It's so good.
But seriously, like come play with us in the Intuition and Blocked, and I'm probably going to come join the VIP group. I
Heck
want to
yeah.
come.
Come on over.
I gotta
It's
get through a
so
couple
fun.
more lessons. I gotta go meet my guides.
Go meet your guides. Yeah.
Here's my question though, because I'm gonna do that today. I have guides. Will I meet them? Will I meet new guides? Will I meet the guides I need to meet today? Like, how does that work?
I think it's whatever intention you set before going into it. Like if you have a really
Mhm.
good idea of who your main guide is, maybe do that meditation once just to get confirmation if you need that confirmation, like, oh yeah, this is my main guide. Otherwise, you can leave space for like, I'd like to meet a new guide today. Like you can do that over and over and over and meet new guides.
Yeah, but also like that's like having a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
Like you want to like MySpace them. Top 8. Who are your
Top
top 8 guides?
8. Yeah. Who's your top 8? Your spirit guides.
See, I brought that old school MySpace back in there. But really, because I think I went once to an intuitive and I was like, oh, I have more guides. Who are they? And they're like, do you really want to know? And I like sat with that and I was like, no, I actually don't right now.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I know that there's more out there and I'm curious, I was like, little steps, slowly but surely. I actually have a really cool, what are they called? Can't think of the word now, trans-dimensional guide.
Ooh.
Who's going to help me move through different dimensions and work with them in this way. And I have a really, this is what is so cool about having intuitive friends. I have this intuitive friend, and every time she texts me, I'm like, oh damn,
what is it?
She's like, I don't know why I need to tell you this, but, and then we have these like profound texting conversations where it's like, and all this stuff opens up. And I've been friends with her for a while, and it's just so lovely because every time she texts me, I'm just like, what's next? And she's like, have you met your interdimensional guide yet? And I said, no. And so she told me who it was, and that they were just a baby and still growing. And so I'm going to do a little journey to just go meet them and be like, hey, what's up, buddy? And how can we work together? And they're a whale. They're a little baby whale.
That's adorable. I love that.
Don't you
Because
love
space
that?
is water. We're circling back.
See people. If you want to travel, get yourself an animal that can breathe underwater.
Correct.
Oh, I'm tripping out about that. Well, and also I love how Jenna just answered it like it's water. It's
she
space.
does that. She like doesn't take the time to like sit down and connect with her intuition or whatever. Like she just doesn't. That's not a priority for her.
Yeah.
Her karma in this life is really health related, but
oh, nice.
She's so goddamn intuitive. She'll just say stuff like, "Oh, yeah, that's that. That's why."
Yeah. If you have people in your life like Jenna, they probably are giving you intuitive messages, right?
Heck
Whether
yeah.
they do it or not, it's like I think when anybody answers with that such like affirming, resound knowing, you might want to listen to that and see, like maybe there's something in there.
If it resonates, take it. If it doesn't, leave it.
Yeah.
It's all up to you.
Leave it in that big steaming pile of does not resonate.
Yeah, leave it over there.
I think that's such a great concept too. That's so helpful. That's been helpful for me in my spiritual journey.
You get to choose.
Take what resonates, leave the rest.
You get to choose. Well, yeah. Any final thoughts on intuition or signs?
I mean, I wanted to sing I saw the sign for you guys, but that's
a little Ace of Base.
Little intuitive karaoke. See, I'm really showing my 90s girl here. I would say any final thoughts, guys, on signs? My guides say, funnily enough, let them be a guide, right? They are not the answer. They are a guide to the inner knowing within you.
Yeah.
You're already asking. It's kind of like what they're saying is like when you ask for a sign, like when I ask for a sign for my spirit daughter, deep down I know I'm going to have her.
Right.
Deep down I know this. It's a knowing. You can only the answer or the ask for the sign is a confirmation of your knowing. So remember to always take that and then look back inside. Why did I ask that question? Why did I need a sign? What work can I do maybe underneath that, especially if it's like a fear, a confusion or whatever, to like do deeper work. Like for me to ask for a sign for my spirit daughter, I think I was just missing her and I haven't connected with her in a while. And what I took from that was, with that cute little girl being like, hi, I was like, I just need to like sit with her and channel with her and visit her and just develop that relationship before she's even here. Right. That's what I got from that.
Yeah. That's great advice.
That's all I have.
That's it.
What about you? Any final words on the signs, the angel numbers, the intuition?
Yeah, my guides are just saying, you rarely ask a question that you don't already know the answer to.
Snap to that.
That's it. That's all they got.
Our guides are succinct today.
Very succinct.
Mine are a little myth that they couldn't step into me and trans channel. But they'll get a chance.
You'll get your chance next time, guides.
Yes. I just, need to be able to talk and function on a podcast. And when I trans channel, it's super trippy. And I feel like I don't always have the ability to like move my limbs or, converse in a way that needs to be conversed. They're giving me all kinds of feedback as I talk about this.
I'm sure they are. Yeah. Oh, well,
we won't disclose that just yet.
Not yet. That's coming. Join us for our live Q&A.
Yes.
Look for information about that from either the podcast Instagram, our personal Instagrams. You can DM us, you can email us if you feel like you want to be a part of it and you haven't seen a link to join anywhere. We will be releasing the dates for that. I'm just going to say this week, the week that the podcast comes out, we're going to hold ourselves accountable and release a date. And it's going to be so much fun. We can't wait to connect with you guys like via Zoom. I was going to say in real life. It's not real life.
I know.
But we hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Christmas is coming. We hope that you have a plethora of opportunities to dive into those family relationships.
Yes. And do you have any sessions left for people should they need them post Thanksgiving?
I only have a handful actually. And at the time of this being released, I'm not sure, but you can find my calendar on my website, intuitivelynatalie.com. It's there. Go to book a session and then refresh the page because for some reason it doesn't show up initially.
We need to fix that.
But my availability is up. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm all booked out for this year. Thank you to my beautiful, lovely clients. And that is good because I'm changing the way that I work next year. So I'm going to send you guys lots of great recommendations, including Natalie and some other practitioners that I work with to help kind of like meet the need right now. I feel like there's this kind of like big rush right now. Everybody's kind of like, gotta get some stuff done and get some clearing done and get some stuff ready. So I think it's nice to start your new year already, clearing out a bunch of stuff. Don't wait. Do it now.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all we got. And we look forward to seeing you guys live. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.